On today's Cardinals squad show, we're dissecting the Cardinals joint practice with the Broncos. Kyler Murray ranked 15th amongst NFL quarterbacks, and a skeptical season-long prediction by Connor Orr. Let's break it all down next.
Rise up, Red Sea. It's the Cardinals squad. Sponsored by Game Time. Everything Arizona Cardinals every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Valley of the Sun. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Gear up and squad up. The Cardinals Squad Show starts now.
Welcome back into the Cardinals Squad Show. I'm Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show mornings on YouTube, and a credentialed Arizona sports media member. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals Squad Show your first listen here on this beautiful Thursday. Don't forget the Locked On Cardinals Squad Show is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, so click that follow or subscribe button to do what thousands, dare I say millions of Cardinals fans have already done, become an everydayer and be locked on to the Cardinals each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50%. That's 50 off your first year. Joining me today is from your regularly scheduled program, Alex Clancy from Locked On Cardinals, and former ASU football alum and former 7-year NFL offensive lineman and still Super Bowl champion, my guy, Jamil Douglas. I got it right today, Jamil. How do you feel about that, man?
Still, I love it.
Well, hey, let's get it kicked right off, because I think there's going to be some fun debates about how guys like us who weren't at Cardinals joint practices today with the Broncos that maybe could be seen as, I thought, as a little skeptical at least, but maybe a differentiating of opinions will come to fruition here. So the Cardinals go all the way to Denver, and they're just doing 1 day of joint practices. And Jamil, you called it, man. You know, I'll kind of start with you here, but from the kind of reports, Kyler may be a little locked on to Trey McBride. Marvin Harrison Jr. looked, I think the report is fine against the Broncos. Anything out of the ordinary that you're willing to start with, that you're like, this is okay. This is a little much, but from the Broncos looking a little bit more tighter offensively than the Cardinals, what was kind of your take?
I mean, listen, the joint practices, like I said, the joint practices are, it's good work, man. It's you get to see where you measure up. I think the Cardinals going up to Denver and playing versus a defense like the Denver Broncos, and we're not hearing negative reports, like that's a good sign in terms of, you know, how I'm viewing it. I think when you look at the Denver defense, they are one of the best in the league. And so to go up there and to have the reports be somewhat, you know, mild is a good sign, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I quote as Unlocked on Cardinals as the oh no moments. There weren't any of those. Like, that's really all you want to avoid. The Cardinals were lucky to go up against the Denver's ones today. You know, Theo Mackey did a great job, AZ Central, Tyler Drake, and others, you know, kind of keeping us up to date on what was going on. I mean, by and large, Kyler Murray was pretty inefficient for what he's, you know, grown to a custom. I think he was 15 for 28, found Trey really easily. He's been wide open. Marv, 4 receptions on 8 targets. The defense looked pretty good, but the thing for me was the offensive line. This was one of the biggest things, man. The interior of the offensive line got eaten for breakfast. And this is where I'm not going to say that I know these things before they happen, but I have a proclivity to say things before they happen. And Will Hernandez will be starting at right guard when he's healthy. Like, this is not fun anymore. It's camp. It's only Isaiah Adams and nobody else. So you got to stand behind your boy who's taking leaps. But when you go up against one of the best defenses and one of the best fronts in football, and you get taken advantage of, that's a pretty clear indicator, irrespective of if it's a regular season game or joint practice, that's something to monitor. Not to freak out, but to monitor.
Yeah, I think one of the things immediately that caught my eye was the fact the offensive line was getting eaten alive, and I think that also, or at least eaten alive at least a little bit against the Denver Broncos ones. And I think that also could go into maybe Kyler Murray not looking as sharp as he did, or maybe dumping off the ball to Trey McBride, because it doesn't matter if you're Tom Brady. You're getting pressure up the middle. That's something that can obviously deteriorate your play a ton. Here's, I kind of want to, chicken or the egg kind of thing here, but reports were Trey McBride was eating alive the Denver Broncos defense. How much of that do you think is Kyler Murray being locked onto a target, which I believe he has a tendency to do, get locked on to one singular player? And how much is it, well, if Trey McBride's open, you're just going to throw him the ball. If we're there simulating actual game time scenarios, I'm not just going to throw the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm going to throw it over to Trey McBride, and there might be games where that happens. But do you guys think there's any concern with Kyler? I mean, 15 for 28 is not elite, right, for Kyler Murray to go out there, but it is a really good defense. The offensive line struggled a little bit. It's also in Denver too. So Clancy?
Yeah. So let me take this one. So there's two different ways to look at this. Okay. One is Drew Petzing and Kyler Murray have figured out how to get Trey McBride always open. Okay. That's the positive. They then need to figure out how to do that with Marv. Okay. So if that's the case, if that's road taken number one, they got to figure out how to do that with Marv and others because they've cracked the code with Trey McBride on top of his elite skill set, his ability to pretty much do anything on a football field. He's very George Kittle-y. That was his comp coming out of Colorado State, the second round, very much like him. Okay, that's one. Number two, this is the thing that scares me a little bit about going into the season is Kyler doesn't always look through the progressions where there could be a higher, there could be a lower probability, but potential for a higher chunk gain if you wait a beat or two and not just throw it to the first open receiver. And that's something that Trey McBride's always going to be open. So do you want him 5 yards? You want him to do a 5-yard out, or do you want to kind of wait for a second, maybe see Michael Wilson crossing it, over the middle, over the safety, getting 15, 20-yard gain, something like that. Like that's the 0-1 jump that Kyler Murray is going to have to make this year. And I don't know which of those two are actually what's happening. It could be a mixture of the two, but I feel like it's the latter more than the former. And that's kind of what scares me a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking in terms of, the offensive line, and just when you do have these joint practices, it really does show you it makes it really obvious as to what you need to address, right? In terms of in the game, things can kind of be covered up. You can slide a certain way. There's just, so many different situations in which we used to call it a pigeon. Well, Mike Vrabel used to call it a pigeon, where a pigeon doesn't get exposed, right? In these joint practices, you have your one-on-one periods, you have your run periods, you have your strictly third down periods, and it's a lot easier to kind of pinpoint, okay, where are we struggling at? So in terms of the offensive line and Will Hernandez, being back up in the lineup, that's going to be a thing, because I feel like it's just glaring. When we think about the Trey McBride thing, if he's open, throw him the rock. I don't see a concern in it, I guess. My thing is if the guy's open, you got to get him the rock. Is it concerning from a standpoint of that's Kyler's security blanket a little too much? I mean, I guess if you're forcing it and he's not catching it, then yeah, it's concerning. But if you're getting completions and you're moving the rock, then I don't see anything wrong with it.
So let me ask you, let me bounce back on that quickly. So sometimes, and you guys will learn, I go to NBA examples in certain situations, and this is one of them. So for Suns fans out there, late 2000s, I think it was the Spurs in a playoff series where they're like, you know what, Steve Nash, go score 40. You ain't facilitating, you're not getting anybody else involved. And the Suns ended up losing that series, and Steve Nash averaged over 30 plus a game, which is well outside of the confines of his normal role with that star-studded Suns team that he was, the facilitator for. This is something that is concerning for me, because if all you have to do is be like, all right, let Trey McBride get his, keep everything in front, stop everybody else, that's a recipe to win. So you want to make sure that opposing defenses have no idea what the hell is coming. So I understand that if Trey's always open, throw it to him. And obviously, if he's open for a first down, more times than not, you're just going to throw it to him because he's good at he's good at what he does. But if that's all you rely on, it's a very James Connery kind of thing from the past game. And you can get lulled into the sense of security that it's going to be there always. But when it's not, you've got Seattle after the bye week last year. So
let me ask you this. What was Pat Surtain at practice today?
Yeah. Marv caught a pass on him today. But yeah, I don't know, man. it's exciting and kind of nerve-wracking at the same time that that's the only dude that can facilitate from the pass catcher room.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know where this kind of the fault lies, man. I just feel like I don't know. Go ahead, Ben. I don't know.
No, Clancy said it perfectly. And like, I don't want to continue to piggyback off of his point. I think it was a really good, I'm excited because I think that Broncos defense is going to be one of the better ones in the NFL.
100%.
Jihad, I think his name is Jihad Barron, the kid from Texas.
Yeah.
He's going to be a really good slot corner, the outside corner and Patrick Surtain. It's going to be a really good group. So the fact that you have a superstar there, like, it is exciting, but it's also like, we knew that. We knew Trey McBride was good. Where is everyone else? And again, I don't know who to pinpoint that on. Is that, like Andy Reid doesn't do joint practices. Is that Drew Petzing being like, I'm just going to keep the cards kind of close to my vest because I don't need anyone to know what we're doing? Or is it Kyler was having some issues, which I think you can make arguments for both. I don't want to get lost here with just the offensive side of the ball. I kind of want to move the conversation to also the defensive side, because people in the chat, I believe it was Lucky in there, mentioned a really good point that I didn't want to, or Big Bird 92, that I didn't want to go past. Will Johnson, by all reports, the secondary as a whole, didn't have a great day. And this is something I kind of mentioned last week of like, it's a lot of young guys down there. It's not saying that I think is going to be a problem for all season, but I think early could be an issue. And listen, man, if they're having a tough time, and again, it's joint practices, you're working on things, those are the caveats.
Yeah.
But this Broncos wide receiver core, I mean, yes, Cortland Sutton, very good wide receiver. Just got an extension. Marvin Mims, I mean, he's a second-year player, okay. Devon Vele, I know he was a fantasy guy last year. Trent Sherfield, former Cardinal. Troy Franklin, former Oregon Duck. Like, it's not a star-studded group of wide receivers. Clancy, I mean, I can go over to you, man, but is this a little concerning, something that I brought up last week, or just we're working on things? It's not that big of a deal.
Something to monitor, just like all of this stuff. I mean, for Sean Payton, though, which is kind of a weird thing, like Evan Ingram is going to be a Pro Bowler this year. Like, you're not looking at just wide receivers. You're looking at Cortland Sutton, who, listen, he's had this resurgence, and obviously because Bo Nix is good at football, like that obviously helped. He didn't have great quarterback play before then. But Evan Ingram's going to eat. They're going to run the ball a lot. It's going to be kind of a boring offense. This is going to be a Drew Brees offense. So when it comes to the secondary, there are two things that I look at. One, have they improved talent-wise from last year? A resounding yes. Okay, you expect Garrett Williams to be fringe all-pro this year. Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson, Dadrian Taylor-Demerson, Max Melton's going to emerge. Will Johnson should be there in that mix. But the important part is that the pass rush actually exists. So when you get Calais back, Dalvin didn't practice today, when you get Josh Sweat on the field, when you get that motor running up front, you and I could play cornerback for this team, and you'd have a chance at a pick. Like, it's really, defense is built on, what I like to say is trust and instinct. Okay, the Cardinals haven't had the talent to be able just to utilize that. So I don't think it's a point of concern yet. If they get torched every week, we could have a different conversation. But Budda Baker, this is what he's grown up with since 2017. He's able to adapt when DBs don't do their part.
Yeah, I'm really not too concerned with the fact that, hearing that they struggled with the Broncos offense. Again, we're talking about Sean Payton, a guy that is one of the best play callers out there in getting, mismatches and the route trees and all of those things. And then within practice, like, sacks don't stop the ball from getting thrown. There could be a sack and the ball is still getting thrown in practice. So I'm really not too concerned with it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like, it's just, there's times where the play is dead, 3 seconds ago, and then the ball still gets to get thrown. So it kind of doesn't add up in terms of the pass rush with the back end. So I'm not really concerned. Like I said, like, these guys can go up and they can defend on the back end. It's going to match with the pass rush when it's live. So not a concern for me.
And then the final thing that I also wanted to harp on, because, it's a little, at least skepticism, I think, across the board here on the panel, but the defensive line, which is kind of worries me about Clancy's point a little bit of like, if the defensive line does its job, it should make the job a little bit easier with the cornerback, defensive back position. And then it goes to Jamil's point where it's like, well, sometimes the ball gets thrown when there should have been a sack there. The defensive line did eat today. And it's not really much of a discussion, but it's also like that's a good Denver Broncos offensive line. And that's 2 weeks in a row. We feel really good about the preseason game against the Chiefs, who have a pretty good offensive line, and the offensive line of the Denver Broncos that they're eating. If that continues to progress, also the fact that Walter Nolan looks to be progressing even more, the Cardinals defense is going to be vastly improved, whether the defensive backs are elite or not. Agree? Disagree?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and we'll see, and we'll talk about this next, where the starters aren't playing in week 2 and kind of who to watch for. If you get, any sort of production from Jordan Birch or Cody Simon or, even Walter Nolan, when you throw him in there, like, I'm sure if Walter Nolan's healthy, he'll play in the 3rd preseason game. Like, he's going to need to get reps before going to NOLA. Like, it's Jordan Birch could be a determinant on if this is a top 5 front 7 in football or not. Truly, like, if he shows the production in a bull rushing stance, and you can couple that with the vets of Dalvin and Calais Campbell and stuff like that, like, you can't fake, and Jamil can attest to this, whatever, however many games you played in the NFL, borderline getting close to 100, like, you can't fake a good defensive push.
100%.
And the Cardinals
100%.
have shown from day one of camp and everything that ain't going to be an issue, man. It's just going to be a matter of how good it's going to be.
Yeah. Look, we're talking about, the past 2 weeks, we're talking about the preseason game versus the Chiefs. I know they didn't, play all their guys. Playoff caliber team. Denver Broncos, playoff caliber team. Like, these are not scrubs for teams. Like, there's gonna be some reports out there of somebody getting beat. Like, that's just what it is when you're going against teams of that caliber. So the main thing is, when it's game time, they'll have banked those reps from a standpoint of going against these teams in the preseason that you hope it shows up in the regular season.
Speaking of the preseason, there will be no Cardinal starters, per Sean Payton of all people, saying that the Broncos and the Cardinals will not play their starters. We talked about this last week. The Cardinals played. Some of us thought it was the right decision. Some of us won't. I think we're going to run that back a little bit with this report as well. So we'll talk about that next. But first, today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal financial tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface, or on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you, so you can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorizations of your spending, and finally feel free in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Listen, if you're like me and you've got numerous accounts that you're trying to pay for that you don't even know that you have, it'd be really nice to be able to use Monarch Money. Look at the interface, look and see what I'm paying too much for, get rid of those things, and allocate the money to things that I will actually be using, thus saving you and myself some cash. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNFL. All right, as we just mentioned a second ago before we went to break, per Sean Payton, and yeah, Jonathan Gannon too, but it's more fun to say the other coach broke the news, there will be no Cardinal starters in the second game of preseason. You guys know how I feel. I think this team needs every rep that they can get, but I can get into my thoughts in a second. Jamil, you lived and breathed this. Do you feel, because I know last week you were saying that the Cardinals should definitely at least play their starters a little bit. Just get the feeling, get the reps, do what you got to do, right? Now that they've had a joint practice, do you feel the same way, or is it like the game was today? They don't need to play another game. Your mic is muted.
Hey, I'm acting like Ben today. That's what it is though. Joint practices are just like games. So that's why I said last week, I was like, I bet that they don't trot out their starters or the guys that are going to play valuable minutes this upcoming season. I bet that they don't play them this week because you get a lot of those, game-like situations throughout the day of practice. So doesn't surprise me that they're not going to be playing. I think if from a standpoint of, coaches kind of negotiating during the preseason, if they felt like they didn't get the work that they needed to get in, I think you would have seen, hey, maybe we'll play our starters here and there. I'm telling you, that's what these coaches do in the preseason. But I think they got what they needed out of the joint practice, and they don't need to be out there this week. The just from a wear and tear aspect, like the joint practice is tough, man.
Yeah, I mean, Jamil had this, I've gone back and forth. Like before I found out, and when I did on Unlock the Cardinals today, and people have been, very open about telling me that I'm wrong because the news came out after. Like, I wanted them to play. Like, I was like, you know what? Let's give it a couple series. If the ones were playing for Denver, be like, let it rip. Like, this is invaluable. Like, I really wish the Cardinals didn't fumble the opening kickoff last week. So maybe you could have seen a full series of Patrick Mahomes and part of the ones from Kansas City. Kansas City and then Denver. Like, that's kind of like a treat. Like, that's lucky that they were scheduled for those two guys. But the fact that they're not, like, for me, that's fine. Cool. Jamil said, joint practice, they don't play that week. Got it. This opens up the door, though, to find out who the dudes are going to be, especially on defense. So just because the starters, when he says starters, I assume offensive starters. Like, I'm sure Max Melton's going to play. I'm sure Will Johnson's going to play. I'm sure Jordan Burch is going to play. I'm sure Dante Stills and LJ Collier, like, those guys up front are going to play. Cody Simon's going to get a lot more work. Like, I want to see Cody Simon and Jordan Burch play 3 quarters tomorrow or Saturday. I want to see Max Melton and Will Johnson fight it out to show us who's going to be the dude when they go into that 3 safety demon set of who's going to be the other corner alongside Garrett Williams on the outside. Like, I want to see, like, this is a very important week. Just because the starters aren't playing, this is showing who's going to be alongside the set and forget starters come week 1. So I'm stoked for this. I think it's better because we're going to find out more because the starters aren't playing.
No, he's 100% right. This is a big week for those guys that are kind of on the fringe, but also guys that you're going to be depending on to play valuable minutes. Like, this is the week in which it makes or breaks, their roster position, really, because like I said, the one group gets the majority of the reps in these joint practices, and the second and third groups don't really get a lot of burn. So this is going to be a big week in the preseason game, from a preseason game standpoint, and a lot is riding on the guys' performances for this week.
If I'm just being honest with you guys, I'm a little disappointed that they're not playing, but that's my own, honestly, dumb opinion. I got to give credit where it's due. I think both of you guys are cooking today with the opinions because it's a really good point. We're going to see the depth of this Cardinals team be tested, not only on the defensive end, but what I think is actually going to be most important is, what if the Cardinals have an injury at the offensive line position that we would all agree, I wouldn't say that they're super deep in. I want to see those guys get a couple of reps and be able to show that, hey, if Isaiah Adams, Yoda Froholt, or, if Paris Johnson Jr. goes down, like, he's a stud. You're probably not just replacing him. But we have to feel comfortable if guys go down for a game or two that they have those players available. I'll tell you why, though, and it's if Kyler Murray didn't throw that interception last week, and I know I'm the only one making a big deal out of it. I get it, man. I get it. I'm really concerned about his ability to see the field. I think Clancy hit it on the head about his progression sometimes. That has weighed on me all week.
It was a no-look pass. He tried the no-look.
Listen, guys, I get it. He threw a no-look pass. That doesn't make it any better to me. I'm assuming, listen, I guess we just have a different opinions when it comes to that stuff. I hated that he did that. I don't want to make it a full segment about that. But I just would like, and maybe it's because at practice, and I didn't see any reports that Kyler Murray threw an interception. Maybe I should be taking that for what it is. But God, I just want to see the offense go up and down the field one time, score a touchdown, and get off the field. Is that really going to do anything? Probably not. Is it just going to make me a fanboy excited about the regular season? Probably. But I just want to continue to get reasons to believe that it is going to be a different season from Kyler. And I know maybe you guys feel differently from game 1, but I just have PTSD from post week 11 where he threw a lot of bad interceptions. So although I will concede that is probably the wrong take here because they basically had a preseason game today, it just wasn't streamed. I do think it's a really good point about the Cardinals backups being able to get that. And the fact that maybe Chad Ryland, instead of working with, a 30-yard field goal that the Cardinals got with their first stringers, he's going to kick a 50-yarder. And so those guys will get those depth plays. But just because I have a bad taste in my mouth from that offensive first drive, I get it's not a great point, but that's just where I'm at with it.
All your personalities are just fighting with each other right there, bro. Those are 3 different arguments all in one.
I understand.
Like
I know.
With their hair.
I've been fighting with it all week, man.
Listen. So here's the thing. And I asked Mike Sando when I had him on the show yesterday, and we'll talk about the tier system next segment. I asked him flat out, does your quarterback need to be your best player to win a Super Bowl? And I couldn't even get the question out before he said no. Okay? So here's the thing. Kyler Murray needs to be the reason why the Cardinals win games more than the reason why they lose games. Okay? It's a very thin line, but Kyler Murray is well equipped to do the role necessary with this roster for next season. So he throws an interception. Yeah, that's fine. No, look, whatever, dude. Like, we're moving on. It doesn't matter. He's starting. So who cares? If he threw for 300 yards in a quarter, it would have changed nothing also. That's just, it's fool's gold. It doesn't really matter. What you're looking at is the progression of an organization. And my hairline has receded inches because of this team over the last 9 years specifically. But this is a level up from where they were. The question is, which player will beat out the other to start and not who is good enough to start? Okay, that is a huge delineation between the last regime and where we are now. So this is the good stuff, man. This is the insulation. This is the who do you got besides the starters? And that's why I'm over the moon that that they're not starting the starters now because we get to see it.
Yeah.
We get to see it.
Yeah. We get to see it. And I think next week we'll get to see the starters play in the preseason game. I think,
Oh, you play.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and this is just a guess. Like, I don't have any source behind this. No. This is just
Gannett isn't right behind you, Jamil.
This is just me kind of gauging, what the training camp and what the preseason has looked like. I think obviously, like I said, you don't play him the week of the joint practice, and then the last week of preseason, you get him a drive out there, just one drive, regardless of how it looks, and then you pull them. So, and you hope that drive looks good for their sake.
Yeah, because for people that don't know, like for just off the top of their head, there's a full week of nothing before week one. It's not like week one is the next week. So that would be, if they didn't play this week, that's better part of a month where they wouldn't be playing football, which isn't going to be like most teams do this. But do you think one series would, and we'll talk about this next week, but like I'm almost ready just to pack it in. Like they showed it. It's fine. You had to join practice. Everybody came out unscathed. Let's just go to week one. I'm just at that point where it's like nothing can go wrong.
It just depends on what coach believes in, man. Like I know when I played for Mike Vrabel, like he believed in callousing your guys. Like the minute you let your body relax from hitting and things like that, that's the second that the injuries start to pop up, or soft tissue things and stuff like that. So it just depends on the gauge of the team, and that's where you gotta trust the coach to make those decisions based on the betterment of the guys.
Darren, my boy.
I'm a little Darren in the chat. For people that don't know, I'm the one that posts these comments on here. But it's a good point, man. I'm tired of everyone wanting Kyler to compensate for what has been prior to being a piss poor franchise. I get all of that. But Kyler Murray isn't exactly carrying this franchise either. But listen, I rest my case in the Kyler thing. I don't want to dive deeper into that. Clancy and I were already fighting over text this week. Jamil had to tell us we were both pretty, and it was totally fine after that.
He was lying about one of us. I'll let you guess which one.
Maybe the one without a receding hairline. I'm just kidding. I don't know if that's even true. I don't even know if that's true. That's so mean. That's so
so rude.
Anyways, I just want to say this. I think it would be kind of, here we go. I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. I do think it would be a little wild for them to play next week. If it's a drive, cool. But anything longer than that, I think you're just risking the injury fairy. That's like, you pushed it a little too far. Again, not a great argument to be made when it comes to that. But after that, it's not like you're going into week one. I can't see the argument of like, oh, we're going in stride. We played our week 3 game. No, you actually have a week off. So I think rust can still play a factor. But either way, I guess it doesn't matter that much.
Don't ever
With
be
that
a
being
lawyer.
said,
You'd be terrible at it.
You know what's funny?
Unless you could be a defense attorney and a prosecutor at the same time.
To be fair, that is my job. I am
he's more like a public defender.
Hey, public defenders do great work.
It's funny, as a kid, I always wanted to become a lawyer. And then, I'm just here yapping about the Cardinals. Yeah, but in Clancy's words, no one cares about you, Ben. Move on. So let's do so. The Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals
about Madden for a whole segment. I'm really good, guys. That was it.
The Arizona Cardinals franchise quarterback Kyler Murray is ranked as a tier 3 quarterback, the 15th best quarterback in the NFL. Let's argue about Kyler Murray's placement, but I don't know if there's going to be too much arguing. But the tier 3 placement on its own. But first, before we get there, a message from our guy, Alex Clancy.
The defense rests, Your Honor. This episode of Cardinal Squad Show is brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy. I don't even need the live read for this. I have this in my blood, man. Yahoo Fantasy plus fantasy football equals marital bliss. Okay? NFL's around the corner. Yahoo Fantasy should be in the palm of your hand with the app or online immediately. I've got 2 leagues. I've been in them for a total of 25 years. One's a redraft league, one's a dynasty league. I love them both equally. I would never choose between my kids. And they're both on Yahoo Fantasy. It's the easiest app to navigate, to be able to make trades, pick up players, change settings, and everything like that. And listen, Yahoo's got something super special. They've got 28 special things they're rolling out in August. One of them is a brand new format called a Guillotine League, where the lowest scoring team each week gets eliminated from the damn league. Okay? It's crazy. It sounds like such a fun way to play. I've already set one up. And listen, if that's too, high wire act for you, you can still do the private, 1-to-1 leagues or the public leagues. Check it out. YahooFantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's YahooFantasy.com/LockedOnNFL.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say the defense wanted you to cut that ad off quicker. So that's why it came that way. Anyways, moving on. Mike Sandoz is, I get so geeked over this. I think I was the first one to send in the chat on Monday, but Mike Sandoz released his quarterback tiers list. He does it every year before the preseason. It's 50 voters ranking across coaches, assistant GMs, their current GMs, former GMs. I think it is the absolute Bible when it comes to quarterbacking and tiers in the NFL. Kyler Murray came in at 15th, but that wasn't what was super interesting to me. We kind of figured Kyler would be somewhere around there. He came in as a tier 3 guy, but not just as a tier 3 guy, the highest ranking player in tier 3, which, tier 1, basically you can win a Super Bowl no matter what. If you have this guy on your team. Tier 2, this person needs a decent amount, like an okay amount of help to win a Super Bowl. Tier 3 is, if you want to win a Super Bowl with this guy, you're going to need a significant amount of help, and he's going to be a piece, not the piece. Clancy, you had Sando on your show. I had Sando on my show. We both got some time to talk with him, but what was your kind of takeaway from this list? Was it just kind of, yeah, that's about right? Or was it more a little skeptical of like, do GMs actually know, and people who voted on this, what to do with Kyler?
So I flat out called him out. I was like, listen, we've been talking for a long time. You struggle with Kyler. Not like he doesn't know what he's doing. Mike Sando, 30 years in the business. Okay. But Kyler's not an easy quarterback to peg. When you look at running quarterbacks. Okay, yeah, Cam Newton. Okay, Cam Newton was an absolute force, probably the best red zone threat that we've seen in the last 30 years. Okay, just with his sheer strength and legs. You look at Lamar Jackson, same kind of thing. Michael Vick couldn't get hit, fumble the ball, get hurt. Like Kyler Murray's different. He's more, compact. He's shown flashes of the oh my God moments, and he's also shown the bottom 5 NFL quarterback moments in the same game. So I asked Sando, and I talked about this last segment, you don't need to have your quarterback being the best player to win a Super Bowl. So when I see 15, and then you look at the bottom of the list, it's like, oh, yeah, Kyler Murray, a lot better situation than over half of the NFL borderline. Yeah. So this was just a confirmation bias for anybody. Whether you didn't like Kyler, it's like, yep, he's middle of the pack, or you do like Kyler, and he's like, yep, he's better than so many other quarterbacks in this league. This is exactly where he should be. He went up 2 spots from last year. And then, if they win 12 games and make the playoffs, he'll be a tier 2 guy next year.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with the list, man. I'm looking at it and I'm trying to, who do you sub out, I guess, out of the tier 2 guys? Maybe CJ Stroud, maybe based off the year he had, but
he was so high the year before. Oh, no,
yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, he doesn't drop down to tier 3 in that case. He's still a tier 2, I think. I think middle of the road quarterback to me means exactly what it is. You are there to manage the game. You got to build around this guy. You got to give him weapons. You got to have a good defense, and you got to be in close games. And if you're in close games, you got a 50% chance to win that game. So that's just I don't see it as a bad thing that he's a middle of the road guy. There's Bo Nix is on that list. Bo Nix he's not, I think he's a couple spots away from Kyler, but I don't see it as a bad thing. I just think it means that you have to, this guy is meant to be here to manage the game, have a good defense around him, put good weapons around him. You're still going to have a good team. He's just not your Pat Mahomes, your Lamar Jackson. He's just not that type of guy or your Josh Allen. He's just not that type of guy. So I don't see it as a bad thing. I just think that it means what I just said it means.
Yeah. As I mentioned before, Clancy had a chance to talk with Sando. I did too. One of my things about it was, and I kind of phrased this up to Clancy, was he's the 15th ranked quarterback in the NFL. He's literally nearly smack dab in the middle. I guess they go all the way to 34 where Kenny Pickett was all alone in the 5th tier. That's how bad he was, all alone.
Yeah.
But Kyler was the first guy in tier 3. And I asked Sando, I was like, in your opinion, from the people you've talked to, is Kyler someone that is just Clancy mentioned, just GMs don't know what to do with him? And Clancy had said it kind of makes a lot of sense. Kyler, and then he'd also said this, which I stuck in my brain. He's a tier 2 talent that plays like a tier 3 quarterback. And I was like, that could not be any more true.
That's tough.
And it all could. And when he said that, I was like, oh, everything like Charlie Brown's teacher came out. I was like, that couldn't be more true. Because people like myself who have a hard time breaking up with Kyler, and I think everyone else on here, because you could do a lot worse, is we also see the highest of highs as low with the valleys that can be with Kyler. So when I saw it, I think the thing that was more interesting than just, okay, fine, he's a tier 3 quarterback this year, whatever. I also phrased up the question is this Kyler's last chance to become a tier 2 guy next year? And then I'd also asked him, where do you think Kyler will be next year? And he said that he thought guys like Trevor Lawrence, Tua, and Kyler were going to move from tier 3 to tier 2 last year, and said, until he does it, I'll believe it when I see it. So I'll pick him tier 3 next year. Next season at this time, simulate to next year. Where will Kyler Murray be, Clancy?
I mean, there's 2 things, because I'm not predicting that right now where he's going to be. There's 2 things that could happen. 1, he's not getting paid another dollar by the Arizona Cardinals, or 2, he could get a contract extension next offseason. I think it's going to be very cut and dry. If they make the playoffs and he takes that leap with this roster, he could 100% get a contract extension. And the reason for that is it will just knock down the hell out of that cap number. You'll be able to sign more players. It's kind of a restructuring, and you're adding on more years. Like, he's either not going to be the Arizona Cardinals quarterback, or you're going to be talking about a contract extension next time. That's where I'm at. Like, it can't be in the middle anymore. We're going to find out if this is going to work or not. That's it. Either it's going to work and they're going to win a playoff game, or it won't, and he may be gone, depending obviously on injuries and what he looks like. If he has a career year and they don't win, whatever. But by and large, gone or here for longer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just looking at this list and I'm thinking, like, you know, a guy like Bryce Young.
I'll throw it back up.
Yeah,
a guy like Bryce Young, right, and Drake May. Like, we saw Bryce Young obviously improve last year towards the end of the year, started playing really good ball. Drake May, there's a lot of hype around New England in the system that is being built for him. Bo Nix, like, those are three guys that are going to move up this list, right? So in terms of Kyler, okay, say Kyler has another year like this past year, those guys move up the list. Like, it puts him further down. But I don't know, man. It's just like, he's not in a bad spot now, but I do think that games have to be won, and he has to have great performances to knock off a Purdy, a Love, a Prescott, a Mayfield. Like these are guys that, you know, we talk about all the time, consistently winning games. I know Brock Purdy up and down. Jordan Love has had a little playoff struggle, but we talk about these guys winning games for their teams consistently. If he doesn't do that, he can't get out of this tier, in my opinion. So we just have to see with this upcoming year. If he takes the mindset of being a game manager, he's going to be in a good spot. He does not need to play hero ball, especially given the weapons that he has on both sides of the ball. He just needs to manage the game.
Yeah. Can I add one quick thing? Ben, can you pull the list really quick? Like, I see.
Yeah, I don't like to throw it up because it's right in your face.
It's fine. It's a better look than what they're looking at when they see me. So I think it's a little bit different. So top 14 and up. Okay, Dak Prescott can definitely take a step back, especially with that offensive line being bad. They don't really have a run game. Jalen Hurts could take a step back if they win 10 games or something. He's 9th, and they won the Super Bowl. Okay, so if they don't win the Super Bowl, he could fall out. Jared Goff could fall out. Justin Herbert could fall out. Matthew Stafford could fall out. Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud, if they don't improve upon last year, could fall out. Like, this is the time. The NFL is all about timing, man. All those guys I mentioned, Stafford, Herbert, Goff, Hurts, maybe not. Mayfield could drop out. Dak. Kyler Murray has the ability at any given moment to reach a peak that none of those guys can reach. They get close, but he can supersede that. We've seen it, man. The Raiders game 3 years ago, when he came back out of nowhere and they won the game in overtime with the A.J. Green catching back in the end zone, the 2-minute long or 40-second long 2-point conversion. Like, the peaks are why he's still here. And a lot of those guys had career years last year or close to it. So, I mean,
man,
he could be smack that middle of tier 2 next year.
You would think Kyler would be where Jared Goff is.
Yeah, but Jared Goff has done it. Like, his floor is so high, man.
Yeah, he's done it. He's done it for sure. And that's what I'm saying. You would think with, like, the talent that he has, and especially, you know, the weapons that he has, that he would end up where Jared Goff is. That's what the hope will be.
Yeah, can I let you guys know why I feel actually more encouraged by this list? One of my first things is, wow, the quarterback position has never been in a better place than it is today. But also, guys, the difference between the 7th best quarterback in the NFL and Kyler Murray at 15th is not the effing Grand Canyon. Justin Herbert has never won a playoff game. I mean, like, listen, man, we've heard of all the isms in the world. These GMs are just heightists, if that's the case.
Yeah. I mean,
Justin Herbert is 6'5", cannon arm, long hair, and that's the only reason he's been rated the 6th best quarterback in the NFL. If the bar next year, like, I will still contend with the fact that I think the Cardinals could be a conference championship team because the NFC stinks, because I think their talent is really good, and because I like the coaching staff. Herbert has never done that. And so the one thing I actually worry about is, damn, Matthew Stafford being the 5th and Kyler being the 15th, that gap feels massive. But the tier 2 guys, I mean, man, I think you just lump Kyler into that, and they all kind of feel like the same person, in my opinion, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of the inflated stuff with Kyler is his numbers look really efficient. Almost 70% completion percentage last year, only threw 11 interceptions. Like, those numbers are a little misleading when it comes to QBR and stuff like that. Like, if you told me he was 18, I'd be like, okay. If you told me he was at the back end of tier 3, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, the fact that he moved up 2 spots from him missing half of the season in 2023 to playing and them only winning what they won last year, like, I don't know, man. Like, everybody else above him has been way more consistent, save, a couple. Like, Jordan Love, I don't know, it's kind of the Packers just get a free pass. Jim Harbaugh is Justin Herbert's head coach. Jim Harbaugh plays by different rules. He gets different rules played with him. I don't know. I think that differentiation with Jalen Hurts not being even a top tier 2 after winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But it shows that this is a true test. This is a true list where it's like you're not. If you swap Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts, do the Eagles win a Super Bowl next year or last year?
Yes.
I don't know.
I would say yes. I know it's not the argument that we want to get into, but I do think. But that's okay.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do.
Okay, that's fine. But just to solidify my point, and to like kind of your degrees, I just don't think, like, even if, and I'd be willing to concede because Jalen Hurts has a title that he's a better quarterback than Kyler Murray right now. That's totally fine. And I have all my concerns with Kyler, but my point continues to go, like, it's not the Grand Canyon. It's not massive. They can win with Kyler. And so that should, make people more excited. But with that being said, guys, we also have a season-long prediction before Jamil rips my head off through the TV or through the screen. We have a season-long prediction from Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated, going through, giving out record predictions because it is list season in the NFL, and he had the Cardinals at 6-11 this season. Could a harsh reality be headed towards Glendale soon? Let's talk about that next. So, closing out the show, Clancy actually pointed us to this today, and I did a quick read on it. But Connor Orr did his season-long predictions, and for the Arizona Cardinals, his were as follows: 6-11. Quote, as I mentioned at the top, I'm ready to get waxed for this one. Everything is pointing up for the Cardinals, this roster being built the correct way, and all the key tentpole positions are in place. This is the year of the takeoff, unless it simply isn't. This happens from time to time. It is a reminder that there is not always a logical pattern, especially when the rest of the division is a collection of absolute stalwart head coaches. Not to say Jonathan Gannon is not. That's why many of Arizona's wins here are quality wins. They are just a little few and far in between. I mean, I think we have all followed the Cardinals long enough, and Jamil, being in the NFL, knows the history of the Cardinals. It could crash and burn. However, let's just say for a second, the Cardinals do go 6-11. Heads are going to roll. And I do think, I don't think Jonathan Gannon and Monty Austin-Fort would get fired. But I do think both guys would start to really feel their seats warm up a bit. Clancy, I'll let you take it. Instant reaction to that article?
Fine. It's not something that's like, he's right. The history since the inception of the organization, save a random wildcard Super Bowl run and 3 10-win seasons in a row with BA where they're just hucking it down the field hoping for pass interference calls. Like, that's right. Like, the history is on his side times a million. The thing that I struggle with when I see this is there are factual representations of how far this organization, this roster has come over the last 12 months. Like, factually, this team has gotten better. So it doesn't matter if Kyler Murray didn't exist. Jacoby Brissett would take this team to more than 6 wins. Like, it's not like the floor is so high compared to last year roster-wise that it's impossible for this to happen. Barring any sort of unforeseen, just cataclysmic injury run, it's impossible. It's impossible. And if it is possible, Everybody's gone. I may quit the podcast. It's like, if this isn't the time, what the hell are we doing here? I wouldn't do that. I've been through way harder times than that. But like,
I was gonna say I'd be like, that'd be you taking the easy way out. I think you've been doing this.
Dude, I was there during 2018.
Josh Rosen.
No, yeah, right. Like when the team scored less points per game than the 2008 Detroit Lions that went 0-16. Like I've been through worse. But yeah, like come on. The losses they had: New Orleans week 1, Tennessee lost at home. They had them losing twice to the Rams and then splitting with San Francisco and Seattle. Like, I don't get it. If they lose to New Orleans in week 1, we're gonna just be having conversations.
Yeah, 6-11 would be catastrophic. Like, it would be absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah, mind-boggling.
But this is what I'm saying. This is okay. Hear what I'm saying. It could happen. It's what I'm saying. Like, not from a standpoint, not from a standpoint of like it's any given Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So like a 6-11 can very well happen. If they go 6-11 though, Kyler will not be a Cardinal next year.
Correct.
Like, I feel like the only way you go 6-11 is either there was an injury in which derailed the whole season, or Kyler Murray did not play well at all. Because this is not a 6-11 type of roster. So there has to like to me, this roster wins 10 games. The roster itself, you should look at that roster and say, we're gonna be in playoff conversations. We're gonna win 10 games.
Yeah.
So it would be catastrophic. Like it would. I can't see it happening, but I'm saying it could happen, obviously, because it's the NFL. But dude, 6-11 would be brutal, dude. It would be brutal.
Going through the Cardinals schedule, like, I think I like, obviously I'm very concerned about their potential to make the playoffs and you know what could happen in the playoffs. However, their first 6 games of the season, if you told me you had them going 6-0, I wouldn't think you're crazy because of the quarterbacks they play. Tyler Shuck and the Saints, Bryce Young and the Panthers, Brock Purdy and the 49ers, Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, Cam Ward and the Titans, Anthony Richardson, Jordan Love, who we're not really sure about. It's that later part of the season that's concerning. No, I'm not going to take the Cardinals to go 6-0.
Yeah.
But like, I do think they're going to get 4 wins in those 6. So then to say, okay, well then they're only going to win 2 more in that final, whatever the math is. Yeah, heads are going to roll. Kyler Murray is going to be gone. I think you're talking about another soft reset where you're getting rid of the older guys because you understand you're not that close. And then at that point, man, I think you're really having some regrets about like taking Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4 because you should have taken a quarterback, and this roster's so good you might not ever be that bad again. It's concerning, man. And so I think I can never say it's impossible because it's the Arizona Cardinals and because they have been historically a dysfunctional organization. But they have taken all the steps from being a recovering addict is what I would basically classify the Cardinals with Austin Fort, Jonathan Gannon, and like you could do a lot worse than Kyler Murray. So I don't think this is going to be the case, but if it happened, man, heads would absolutely roll, Clancy.
Yeah, but these are, you know, it's like saying, oh, this movie, Bambi may end with her becoming president of Uganda. It's like, yeah, you could say things. Well, that would be crazy. That'd be insane. Yeah, and also very unlikely that would be the ending of that movie. You know, like very unlikely would be the ending of this movie of them finishing 6-11. Okay, it's so unlikely that it's not laughable because history is on Connor's side. Have had Connor on the show. He's a perfect mix of super analytical, super like goofy and eccentric and stuff like that. It's a great mix. He's a super smart dude. And this is why I struggle with this. If you told me Jonathan Gannon won Coach of the Year and Kyler Murray was top 5 MVP, or they went 6-11, I'm taking Jonathan Gannon Coach of the Year and Kyler Murray top 5 MVP because of this roster. It's like the other one seems irrationally relevant just because of the history of the Cardinals. You're looking back, you're not looking forward, you're not looking at what's right in front of you. I mean, and that's kind of where I'm at. And if it goes that route, drafting a QB, baby.
Yeah. I think just
Sam
looking
Levitt,
at
come on down.
Hey,
Hey.
let's go. Look, I'm looking at the schedule, right? And I think up until, like you said, up until the bye week, these are all winnable games for the Cardinals. I think, the Green Bay game, that's going to be probably the biggest, I guess, test. Not to say that all the other ones aren't, but
At home, I think.
Just the way that Green Bay can kind of, score at any given time, given if they're on point. After the bye week, the schedule is scheduling from a standpoint of, you're getting into the later in the year, right? So we're talking run game. We're talking you're playing at Seattle. You got to go to Dallas, which, Dallas has, every year I feel like, Dallas has this hype train, but they're gonna have receivers. They're gonna have,
Kyler's never lost there. Just an anecdote too.
Right about that. But then, okay, we talk about the Rams late in the year. The Rams normally are picking up late in the year. Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield, I feel like they're gonna be in a good situation. Like Cincy, like after the bye week, it really gets real for this team. And I feel like same thing last year, like after the bye week, we kind of saw them crumble a little bit. They can't spend time doing that this year. Like they need to be hitting their stride after this Green Bay game going into the bye week, because that gauntlet of a schedule is real, and that can make or break their season. Realistically, that can make or break the season.
Jamil, if you are someone in the locker room that at least knows the history of Kyler, that he falls off an effing cliff post bye week every year, does the locker room know that? Are they like, hey, we got to kind of nudge this guy up a little bit because post bye week, second half of the season, defenses adjust to him? Do people say anything about that just out of curiosity?
No.
They don't say nothing. Okay.
No, he's a professional. At the end of the day, like, maybe no. The answer is no. Like,
so there's nothing you do to prepare for that, or is it just like you have to rely on Kyler to know he's got to stay locked in for a full season?
What, I guess, from what standpoint, like, are you expecting someone to go put their arm around Kyler and say, "Hey, I know it's just
remember you're not very good now. Let's be good."
Like that's not happening, dude. It's not happening. This man's a professional, and on top of that,
I'm not saying he's going over and treating him like a Make-A-Wish kid, but like, just some extra like coaching or whatever. I'm not saying, hey buddy, how are you today? It's November. Like, I'm not saying that.
Listen, if Kyler don't go ask for the extra coaching is not going to come look for Kyler. Like he has to be the one to go do that.
The biggest part, like, this is kind of the final boss for Kyler Murray. This is the final boss for kind of this exercise with the Cardinals over the last 6 seasons going into 7. What a better way to find out. The exact setup from 2021, cake early, starting with Tennessee when the Cardinals won by 100. I don't know if you remember that, Jamil. 2021, the Cardinals won by, I think, 1,000 points. Didn't matter. So they started 10-2.
Douglas, were you on that? Were you in that game?
I was not in that game, but
okay.
I was watching it very close.
Yeah. So then, then it falls off, the face of the earth. They lose in the playoff game. This is exact same setup, talent-wise, like strength of schedule-wise, easy early, really difficult late. If you want to find out, this is the perfect final boss to go see Bowser at the end of Super Mario if you're going to find out if this dude's the guy for the future. Like, this is exactly what you want. You don't want a cake schedule. You want to find out exactly what this dude is, and they'll find out exactly how it was. Like, I'll tell you what, they've got to win 5 games before their bye week.
Oh, absolutely.
They've got to go 4-3 or 5-2 or 11 games
before the bye week.
Yeah,
bye week 8. Yeah.
Yeah, if they're under 500 going into the bye week, you
Yeah.
can sign, seal, and deliver it.
We're doing, man. We're doing the mock drafts at that point. We're
It could be
doing mock
fire sale
drafts.
too. Like it could get weird very quickly.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Scary.
Little bit of a skeptical show today. A lot of realist Cardinals takes coming out today. I mean, it was a little rough. They got the real dosage. We will be live after the Cardinals game on Saturday. There will be no excuses this time. There will not be any wives' birthdays. There will not be any children having a tough time being put down. There will be no whatever the hell Clancy. Maybe we'll see. There will be no. The Clancy was there. Clancy was just there. We appreciate you guys tuning in to the Locked On Cardinals Squad show. Again, we will be here directly after the game on Saturday, or at least a couple of minutes after. We'll let Clancy do his thing, and then we will all get together 30 minutes after the Cardinals game ends. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals Squad show your first listen today. And for everyone in the chat, Johnny, Chilpeasy, Terry, Jerry Cardinal, Lucky, Darren, and if I missed your name, we love you all the same. We will see you guys on Saturday.